Hello, folks. Before we start today's episode, I wanted to give you the warning that we do have a character that commits suicide in this episode. If that is triggering for you, it might be an episode you might want to avoid. We also have helpful resources and links in the show notes. Enjoy the episode. Hello, and welcome to StoryFellas, the podcast where we make stories and we break stories. I'm your host, Tommy Antonucci.
And I'm your host, Zach Lovelace.
This is a podcast where we meet up, we roll for random requirements or use scraps to try to tell a story outline in about an hour.
Yeah.
And before we start, if you've not been here before, if you've not seen this YouTube, Zach's got an upgrade with his setup over here. He used to have...
We're sexy now. We're sexy now.
But yeah, you've got your background's not pink.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your camera's looking a little crisper. Tell me about it. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm buying this Blackmagic camera off a friend of mine, trying to just up my overall game, just up my overall game. I was using my webcam. It was sufficient, I was giving us exactly what we needed. I had a cool pink light behind me. I kind of turned the whole perspective here to give me a little bit more depth. Mm-hmm. This is the absolute end game for my cinematic or like, DP skills here. But it
I made
works.
the most powerful webcam ever.
Yeah, well, that's to help. Like, I'll use that. I'll lend that to DP friends and stuff like that. So again, wanted to kind of up my overall game, up the bottom of my game here. So that's the reason why. And you'd be surprised how hard it is. There are so many dumb people who have podcasts that look so good that I don't know how they do it. And I'm over here like barely making it work.
They might have teams helping them.
That's fair.
We're just two dudes, just like
two stupid dudes.
Together. Yeah, but it's cool. I was telling Zach because I saw this setup the other day. I was like, don't you just feel like a little more confident when your webcam's like nice? You got a cool setup. You're just like, here I go.
Of course.
But it is funny because I think it definitely shows when we're recording stuff like this. But I find that if I'm just like on a Teams meeting, like where it compresses it anyway, like maybe like 20% of the time someone will notice. Other time, like as long as they can hear you, you can have the most potato cam footage on like a work meeting.
Yeah,
and they just don't care. But I think it levels things up. It makes things.
It does.
I think the mic does make a difference too, because when I use this mic on meetings versus my little webcam, it just sounds.
Am I more professional now?
Yeah, the mic needs to cover like 80% of the video, like this.
Yeah. So guys. I'm here to talk about mushrooms. Shut up.
That was a couple episodes ago. They came crawling. That's a call back to an old mushroom story that we told.
Yes.
But hey guys, it's if you're listening to this, if our calculations are correct, it's almost Halloween.
Yeah.
And we thought we would kind of dip into our toes into that. Not that we've not done that before. We kind of had a streak of telling a lot of...
We did, since a lot of our stories are by random dice roll. We end up in territory, that it just happens to be that way. So we've told some scary stories before. Flicker is one, I think was one of the earlier ones.
Yeah, it's funny because we've told both like scary, like sincerely scary ones, and then like just like Halloween vibe things. So if you're looking for sincerely scary, I've got our old list here. Something that leans more into that kind of realm. I'd say The Shore is kind of suspenseful,
so scary. I can't listen to it again.
It's so scary. Flicker is like a trapped in this thing by this monster
like
at the grocery store.
If you're a fan of The Mist, that's up your alley.
Howling Hill is not super scary, but it's like werewolves.
Yeah, classic movie monster. One of our absolute just personal favorites. Howling Hill. That is a solid episode.
Very good. And then we had a sprint of Ghosting, which is like a rom-com ghost thing.
That's right.
My favorite, Frankenstein, which is like a family hunt down like my sister.
Maybe this is like more of a spooky podcast in general, man. This is like all of our episodes.
Blob and Law is not at all Halloween-y. It's just like...
that's true. I can see
a daughter brings home a blob that she wants to marry, and the dad is trying to stop it from happening, but it's a blob, so you've got that. The one I skipped was The Long Rage is also kind of a scary...
Oh, yeah, that's
a woman
true.
goes to...
Earnestly scary, yes. Sincerely.
Discover her heritage, and there's giant Neanderthals that are attacking the town.
Yeah, troglodytes.
So yeah, if any of those sound interesting, y'all, go back and listen to the old ones.
Yeah.
But we're going to tell another...
You could crank spooky Storyfellas all October.
Yeah.
and or after.
That'd be
You can
funny
just crank
if
StoryFellas.
I should just at some point when I remember make like a YouTube playlist of just like the spooky episodes on
Very good
our
idea. I like
YouTube.
that. I like that.
And just give them all genres as best as we can. Some of these don't always fit in a perfect genre, but
Comedy's pretty broadly where we fall, I think, most of the time, but yes.
yes. But let's talk about Halloween movies and scary movies and stuff like that in this cold open, because I want to just like what do we like? I think I've already expressed in the past that I'm not a huge horror movie buff. Like I don't love.
I was going to say that,
movies.
yeah.
I like more like kind of mild suspense. Like I liked A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2.
Okay.
But if it goes more gory and more suspenseful than that, then it's like not my
disturbing. You know, your Hereditaries, your Midsummers, those types of things.
Yeah,
more pagany.
Yeah. Let's start with you. Like, I want to hear about what kind of Halloween movies, scary movies.
Good question. So I grew up on horror. I think I was a horror kid. I don't know if that's like a classification, but just would read Stephen King and would watch horror movies growing up. So we're talking Freddy versus Jason, the Halloween movies, slasher films. I feel like those are literally Halloween. Obviously, it's named after the holiday. That's where I hang my hat when I think of Halloween movies. 1970s, usually 1980s, high peak for those. One of my most favorite films of all time is The Thing, 1982, John Carpenter. It doesn't really feel like a horror film. Doesn't feel like a horror movie, at least insofar as I'm not like, I don't know. It's weird because I think a lot of people who do watch it have these feelings, but I'm not so disturbed by the film. It's just really good filmmaking. These guys are stuck in Antarctica at a base, and one of them is a shape-shifting alien who can, assimilate the rest of them. So I have to figure out who is who. Anyway, it's really, really good. So that's where a lot of my horror, I feel like, lands, is that 80s, maybe 90s a little bit. Never seen the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, I reference it a lot just because it has a distinct look to it.
Yeah.
It's like it's like early found footage stuff.
I think it's like the first.
Is it the first found
I'm
footage?
sure there are other found footage things, but like first pop off big deal.
Gotcha. For those who might not know, found footage is when the entire movie is told from some guy holding like a hand camera.
Yeah.
So it's all like feels very real because we're not seeing cutting camera angles or anything like that. How has all those horror movies helped you develop as a person?
Oh, as a person, I don't know. It's a good question. Now that I have a family, I'm a little less into scary things. And like seeing people get hurt. Not to say that's like the point of the genre. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I think that's maybe it too. It's like when you talk about horror, it's a pretty wide thing.
Yeah.
There's like kind of what is it? Elevated horror. People use that phrase. It's like more psychological, more thriller. I like thrillers a lot. I feel like David Fincher, one of my favorite directors, is really hung his hat on that. Is Zodiac a horror film? I don't know. Probably not. More of a period piece than anything. What is it? That made me think of another film. Silence of the Lambs, one of my favorite films. Big discussion about that being like a thriller versus a horror film. But I think what makes a horror film, I hope that answered your question about how it shaped me. I don't know. But I think it has to have genre-wise, has to have something that really breaks the natural law of the universe. So that's why monsters are typically very horror film oriented. And I do love monsters. So in terms of growing up, that I would love to just draw comic book characters and stuff, and coming up with monsters was always so much fun. So I don't know. I get that's always a place that we hang our hat too, is like kaiju films. That's not really a horror thing, but the love for monsters, Pokemon.
Yeah, but someone could design a kaiju movie in a horror genre.
Yeah, I think Cloverfield probably falls into that.
Yeah,
horror, action, and found footage.
Now
that you mention it,
it's funny because when I was in college, there was like a Halloween night, and then it was like me and my roommate Chad, and then our friend Sarah. Like he's a big horror movie guy. So like I think we watched like Insidious and Insidious 2. And again,
okay.
I'm not like a big like horror. So like, but it was like the fun of me being so uncomfortable with it. It was like almost a joke at that point because I was just like, this is ridiculous. And like, I was just like curled in a ball. But my question for you is, do the more like, there's plenty of not as scary Halloween movies. We've got Hocus Pocus. We've got
spooky movies. They're spooky.
The Nightmare Before Halloween.
Nightmare Before Christmas, but still.
Nightmare Before, yeah.
See, he's not a horror film guy. See, people.
I'm not a horror film guy. I don't know the Nightmare Before thing. But where they're not like edgier, like I feel like parts of Nightmare Before Christmas probably did wig me out when I was a kid because it is like a weird.
It is weird. The big beanbag thing that's full of worms. That's gross.
Oh yeah, the boogie.
Yeah.
So like, do you still classify those as Halloween movies too? Like,
well, I think they definitely fit within Halloween. Halloween is definitely wide. It can be it's like gross out gore, type thing, or it can be, something that's just a little more fall, gives you like a fall feeling.
That's true.
I know that The Village is one of my wife's favorites, and it's pretty scary. Like the trailer would make you think this movie's been out for this long, and it's M. Night Shyamalan, so whatever. It's going to have monsters in it. And it's about this like Amish village. So it's just, but it's most of the film is dedicated to just the interpersonal workings of everybody in the village. But it just is really beautiful. I think it's Roger Deakins off the top of my head for the cinematography. Anyway, it's a beautiful fall film. So I think anything that has like big changing of the leaves and all of that, that's spooky or just warm and cozy.
Yeah.
So people can watch movies that they associate with the season rather than it being scary.
Yeah. It's just interesting that the season has such a range because it clearly could be super, super scary movies or it could be Hocus Pocus is just like a fun, like random, I guess to a kid it could be scary. It has witches. Like I think no matter, it almost always has like some level. I forgot it had the zombie, man. That's funny. Yeah. He like cuts his mouth open.
Yeah.
Well then, yeah. So what inspires you when you think Halloween movie? Like what rings the bell for you?
That's a good question. What rings the bell for me? What inspires me? I kind of lean on monster films, like something with a classic, the classic Universal monsters. I was very disappointed with the Tom Cruise Mummy. We watched that last year, and whoa, that movie sucks. I'm still washing that movie out of my mouth. I'll watch the Brendan Fraser Mummy probably like 2 times a year. That and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just like those are just palate cleansing movies for me. The Universal monsters are very cool. They kind of fit, I think, right dead in the bullseye that they can be just spooky or they can be really scary. Depending on the execution.
Like there's like a dial on them on how scary you can make them.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
What about you though, man? You're like grilling me with all these Halloween questions.
Well, ask me some Halloween questions. I don't know anything about what is Halloween.
Since you don't really like scary movies, or you don't seek them out, rather. What is like the scariest movie you've ever seen?
Well, probably like the Insidious movie. I've seen scary movies. One that I thought was interesting that also, like at the time, I don't love watching it, but there was the Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, really? I've never seen it.
It was like kind of what you'd expect from a scary movie. Like it's like we did make fun of it because there's so many points where like he walks super slowly across a hallway, like a classic horror movie trope. But there's this one point in the movie he does it twice back to back. Like he walks and it's like it feels like 5 minutes and he tries the doorknob and it's like locked. And then there's a noise from the other side of the hall. And then there's another long sequence of him. I was like, oh man. But A Quiet Place, which is like gets out of the realm, like it's almost
that's
like
more science fiction.
Yeah, which is an interesting distinction because if it gets too science fiction, you lose the kind of spooky kind of lives with the supernatural.
For sure, we're talking ghosts.
Like, once you get into like, oh, they're just rooted in like they're aliens or something, they're less spooky. They can
Well,
still
that's what
be
I was saying
scary.
about the genre. The genre horror, it has to transgress the natural boundaries, the natural law. So an alien fits within the natural boundaries. Even Signs, though, like I guess because they shield you so much from the zombies. But actually, I've seen so many
You
people
mean aliens?
that do I believe in aliens?
No, like you mean
I thought you just
you mean
straight up asked me, do you believe in aliens? I'm like,
no, I was like, do you mean aliens? Because you said signs and zombies.
yeah, no. So the aliens in Signs, there's been a lot of people saying online lately that they've re-examined the text, and it's not actually it's got legs. This analysis has legs. That they're actually demons.
Oh,
They're
really?
afraid of like holy water, water. And Mel Gibson's character is a priest or a pastor who has like lost his faith, and so it's not until he like comes back to his faith can he actually beat them.
Okay, that's interesting. I've not heard of that, but that makes sense.
So that one actually, I keep bringing it up, but early Shyamalan is actually solid. Like, but he got a bad rap. I mean, After Earth does suck. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, was that him?
That was him.
I didn't know that was him.
Oh yeah, the weird accents, whatever. But no, The Village, even Unbreakable, has like obviously like otherworldly kind of elements to it. And then Signs, like those are super duper good. Anyway. So, yeah, let's
we need to tell a story then. And
stop
I feel
teasing our people. We're teasing them on the spooky stuff here.
Do you wanna roll for some stuff and then they kind of get us started, or has something sparked your interest enough to pursue it?
Let's roll. Take it out of my hands. Yeah.
Let's take it out of your hands. I need you to start with a 10-sided dice roll.
All right, classic. Oh, not rice. I need dice.
Google Rice. It's not working.
Google Rice doesn't work. What is the problem here?
Google Rice.
Be sure to add a sound effect in the post, Tommy, for a rice roll.
Rice cooking in the background.
An egg roll. All right, let's see. I rolled an 8.
An 8. Okay. This is a classic. I feel like we told some stories with this. Just a demon. Classic demon. Some kind of dark entity is in the background. Roll me another 10.
Okay, here comes another 10. Got the hot hand. I rolled a 3.
Okay. Okay, this is kind of cool. This is a little bit more prompty.
All right. Prompt me.
And it's interesting because it somewhat mixes genres a little bit, but I think it could be interesting. Time travel. A group of teenagers accidentally travel back in time and encounter a legendary monster, which could be said demon. Because I think that's kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of stories are like, oh, you do something and then you act like then the demon pursues you. It'd be interesting if there was like a legend and they like specifically accidentally send themselves back in time and they have to like defeat the
That's cool.
thing. Let's do one more roll of 10.
We'll see. We were rolling like crazy.
We're gonna see if we can fit this in.
Let's see. I rolled another 3.
Okay. This is just like some occupations, and if we can get someone in there, that it might just help us. Number 3 is an artifact appraiser, an expert who evaluates the value of rare and antique items.
Well, that seems to line up with what we got going on.
Yeah, I feel like that wouldn't be any of the kids, clearly. I think they they are the like guide, guru, wise person that they would come across later.
Cool. I like an antiquer, like instead of it, like just kind of tweaking it a little bit because we're not slaves of the prompt. We usually give ourselves some wiggle room there. An antiquer could be fun. I'm a big thrifter myself, so finding like a cursed item. And
I like the idea of like someone who's just such an antiquer. They're like, some say that this jacket contains a demon soul in it.
Yeah, I was going to say like, some say this book was bound in human flesh. Smells like it.
Smells like it. Cool. Well, I think let's just dive in. I like some of these prompts. So we've got some teenagers, and I'm going to pull up my little story circle here that helps me get things going.
Yeah, buddy.
So I kind of picture we just have some kind of aimless teenagers. It's the week of Halloween. They're getting ready. I feel like Halloween lends itself into more of a magical reason they go back in time rather than like sci-fi.
Agreed. And I'm trying to think. We could put them somewhere that's kind of spooky. They could be on a trip. They could be like college students. We could age them up a little bit. We could age them down a little bit. A movie I've been meaning to rewatch lately is Monster Squad, which is a predecessor to Stranger Things. 1980s, written by Shane Black. But it has all the Universal classic monsters in it, and a group of little kids. They
like
hunt
that.
them. And it's really cool. Anyway, but I'm saying we could play with the age a little bit, get them, if they were like on a field trip and they go, wherever.
We could. It's like if we make them over 20, they're definitely more capable of like handling situations than like if they're 17. I like the idea of there being like, let's go, an older guy, not old, but like he's 17.
Okay.
The girl that's 17, and then the girl's little brother. I like the girls.
Okay, that's cool.
So whether it's 17 and like 12, or it's like 23, 22, and the brother is like 15.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm fine with either of those, but I kind of want to call the brother Rufus. Like
Rufus,
I like Rufus, just this little brother. Like he's just kind of like a dweeby guy, but like, I don't know. I feel like he could be, clearly I'm already trying to make some comic relief in this story, but
yeah, that's fine. I think that's absolutely okay. Again, I don't want to sit here and scare your pants off. Boo, boo,
my pants.
Yeah. Joke's on you. I had to be wearing pants first.
Oh, got him. Do you like them being a bit older, just like so they can be adults?
Yeah, I don't mind. Well, actually, no, I don't mind the teenage thing. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so let's give them names. Let's give the three of these people names.
Cool. Let's go with, you said Rufus for the little one.
So Rufus, little brother.
Roo over here, baby Roo.
And yeah, he can be somewhere, like we could make him 10 or we can make him 15. I feel like that would have some.
Yeah. I think we'll play with it in a second, because I even think the relationships, I always like if it was a freshman and two seniors, kind of feeling. And so the kid is a crush on the freshman.
Yeah, I'm really trying to like channel, for those who listen to the past, Howling Hill, Mule, and that who's like the young boy that just kind of like carries everything. Something like that he's kind of just happy to be there because he's hanging out with
I love that.
Kids.
Yeah. Man, you get ready, dude. You're playing in that. Now that you told me that, I'm playing in some other things just for you.
Okay, cool.
Really spooky, sad.
Is it fine that the girl's still his sister, or do you think it's better to just make him some random freshman that's with them?
I know sister does make the, that will probably be the central relationship at that point, which is fine. That was for Howling Hill, though. We do this often, folks, where we triangulate our older episodes, trying not to give you the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a big central component to that. So
because the brother sister
thing, yeah. So it's either or it's like two brothers, like his older brother rather than older sister. So that changes the relationship. We're exploring something a little different there, or it's a romantic one.
Yeah, because I pictured the romance is the two older kids, and I think what my brain was thinking was like they try to go out. He's like, "Hey, we should go hang out."
He tags along,
and she shows up, and either she has to bring him or he snuck out and like followed them.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, you brought your little brother?" She's like, my parents said I had to," which could also be the same, but it feels like that would naturally like, oh, go with your sister kind of situation. I guess it could be brother too, but it's also funny if he's just some young guy that also falls through the time travel portal.
Just some young guy, dude.
Just some kid who's like trying to trick or treat. It would be funny if he was just like in full costume, and the older kids are not.
Yeah, the older kids are just his chaperone. Like, oh, take your brother out trick or treating. He'd have to be pretty young at that point, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, we'll experiment with that.
Or if we want it to be actually Halloween. It's always good. I think I love holiday movies like that, where it's like just the holidays happening. Yeah. It's not really part of the story. It's just happening.
Yeah.
Shane Black actually does that a lot. He does that in Lethal Weapon. It's a Christmas movie. You don't even realize it. Anyway, whatever.
So do you like Rufus being the boy's brother?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the older brother, let's name him.
Let's see. Let's go with
Ralph and Rufus.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're all on R names, dude. No. Let's
Deke.
go with. You said Deke.
Deke.
Deke was from Dig Deep, dude. Another episode. Tommy's
Oh,
scrambled eggs.
Is Deke the pool boy?
Yeah, he's the lawn care guy. Yeah,
lawn care guy.
Dig Deep, classic episode. Early classic. Go check it out, folks. We're just plugging our own episodes at this point. But
yeah, we're eventually going to run out of names because like we try to do new names every single time.
Let's go with Sean.
Sean, Saun.
Classic. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Is that how you spell Sean? I don't know.
I usually spell it Sean. Like Sean.
Oh, yeah. That's what Sean. Older brother Sean and the girlfriend, or just kind of friend that
maybe he's trying to make her a girlfriend.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So it's like an unconsummated love. But they could both have a crush on her, I think, is kind of the thing. Actually, I've got some twists in my mind now.
Okay. Well, let's give her a name real quick. We could name her Trish.
Yeah.
I like that.
Short for Patricia, but Trish.
All right, cool. We've got these three.
I could just hear Rufus. Trish is trash, dude. She's trash.
He's like, we used to have that. That would be really funny if he was not interested in
jealous.
Trish. He's jealous for his brother. Like he wants his brother's attention. It's like, we used to have so much fun. And then Trish came around, you're just oogling over. Trish is trash. Trish is trash,
dude.
I'm really tempted to make the title of this Trish is trash.
Well, I mean, we can follow that line. There is like options there.
I like that. Because I feel like a natural thing is that he is like is the favorite to her. Like she likes him, or he has a crush on her. I like that he does not like her. That's really funny.
Oh yeah, that's a good conflict thing. Because anytime she's trying to do anything, he can doubt her. There is a version of this movie where it's like, okay, the demon possesses Trish, and she's trying to kill people they love, kill them, and that the brother doesn't believe it yet. Kind of thing.
Oh, the older brother?
Yeah. And so it's like, it's their relationship basically is the story. Does he actually believe his brother? And I think that's fun. I want it to be a little more high concept. I know we're going to go back in time potentially. Yeah. So,
and we could play fast and loose with that portal thing too. Cause like, I'm also fine if they just like, I know we said they go back in time, but then it's like the stakes are weird because they don't know anybody back there compared to like their hometown.
That's true. They're just trying to get back. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and so the whole movie is them trying to get back, where I'm fine with them opening something as maybe something from the past comes out into their world.
Agreed.
Because I think that keeps them in their home turf, which I think makes us not have to deal with the whole like, oh, I don't know. Plus I just like that kind of story. Like I know we've talked about that in My Favorite Frankenstein, where the story is them hunting down their sister in their hometown, and there's a lot of hijinks. I think this can be scarier than that, but it still keeps them running around their own town.
Agreed. Yeah. At least it does keep the stakes higher, where it's like, oh, my town is in danger, my family's in danger, my friends, all of that. It's more manageable too. So unless we wanted to literally take them somewhere, like if they're all on a school trip, would be kind of hard since Rufus is so much younger. But
he's super smart. He's like in Sean's
like young
class.
Sheldon. He's young Sheldon.
He's in Sean's class, and Sean hates it. I like the idea of personifying this demon guy. Because I feel like a lot of times we go for like a bestial demon, just a beast, a monster.
Yeah.
Which could be cool, but I also like the idea of like he's like a suave-esque, like has intelligence, like, and we give him a name or something.
Yeah.
Like Dominic or something like that.
He's scary. His name's Dominic.
His name's Dominic, so he's scary. I don't know. Or
well, cut ahead to a little bit of the fun and games here with me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that will inform a good bit. Because we know what our story, thematically, the level is about the two brothers coming back together and like reconciling their relationship. Sean not choosing... Well, a little bit as well. It's like having the relationship is changing because Sean is now romantically involved and can't be there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Wild ideas are popping in my head. So maybe the owner of a smoke shop is the demon.
Okay.
And there's like and maybe they're into vaping. Like Sean goes to vape because Trish vapes or whatever. And he's like pretending to vape. He's like, oh, I've tried it before. And he doesn't. He sucks. Whatever. I've only vaped a couple times. I can't tell you if it's like that
Easy
hard to
or
do.
hard, or-
Yeah, but just like, it's just the classic like kind of thing. But some young kid thing to do now. But the owner of the shop is like, I like smoke being a cool thing. And, there could be like a hookah. You can get into older ancient artifacts and whatnot. And we talked about the artifact appraiser being the job. And it's like, like, I don't know if he really is an appraiser necessarily, but he's trying to sell it.
So the appraiser's not, or are you saying the appraiser's the demon, or he's just a bad guy and he like sells them this, like, that's really funny. It definitely pushes us into more like fun realm, which I'm fine with. If he sells them like, oh, if you want to impress that lady, you need this vape, and it's like clearly like a dark like ruby encrusted vape. He's like, is this safe? And the demon comes out of the vape or something like that.
That's kind of cool.
Or he gives it to
Trish,
and then she becomes possessed by the demon.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, and then it's just like a brother thing, because we could take it where like Trish is a bad influence on Sean.
I think that's definitely what has to happen. Like even if it's like not exactly a terrible influence, but at the same time, it's enough that Rufus would be so critical. It would give him some real motivation and like actual ammunition to say something. But what is scary about this?
What is scary about this?
Yeah, let's dial it up a little bit.
Okay. I feel like we're walking the tightrope of, is this going to be a hocus pocus, or is this going to be like an actual like thriller? Scary.
Yeah.
Or it could be a little bit of both. It could be interesting because I don't see a lot of both where they're like really genuinely funny and wacky, but then also scary, keep you on the edge of your seat.
Definitely.
So
I think having it be kids, it's funny. Like unless you just straight up kill them. Like really, and that's what was one of the wild turns I had in my head, was like they're fighting over this girl the whole time, and like in the first 15 minutes she gets killed. And so then we're just in like crazy territory after that. Not to say like, in like a super realistic way, like the monster kills her. And you think that she's going to be a bigger deal. She turns out not to be.
Yeah, that's a fun little shift of just like planting the seed that, it's her. And then she's like no part of this thing, like immediately afterwards. Yeah, I think that could be interesting if she just disappears early on. And if she does, like, it's seeming less and less she's like central character. She is kind of a MacGuffin of some sort, whether she becomes evil, she dies, something. And then we have the two brothers. I think we might need to throw like a third friend or the artifact person or someone in to balance these guys out. But
definitely,
I guess what's the stakes? Like, what is I guess we could do the vape thing or just I
think the vape thing's fun. Certainly a fun concept. Yeah. We'd have to show them the concept. And I think that's actually what's missing right now. That's why I'm trying to jump to the second act, like fun and game stuff.
Yeah, let's
what actually is our monster up to? What does this demon look like? We could go full Miyazaki demon where it's like, it could look like anything. Or Ghostbusters even. Kind of has a Ghostbusters vibe.
I feel like if it comes from like a vape shop, which that just like, I guess like how serious do we want it to be? Because it just is naturally a little funny that it comes
is,
from
of
a vape
course.
shop.
Yeah.
But like I do like this big like smoky like
that is cool.
Like it's just mostly smoke, but then like hands and stuff come out of it, and like it's like it doesn't really have a distinct form. It just like kind of like goes through the alleyways.
Yeah. At the end they smoke him.
They smoke him.
They smoke him.
Get smoked. Oh, literally smoke him.
But he's like, no, please.
Just Rufus takes the biggest.
No, they take him like the biggest pothead they know, and he just like smokes him.
He's like not even a challenge.
Yeah. He's just, or the biggest like juggalo. He's vaping him. Yo, dude, hit this. Oh yeah, man. Obviously that's really funny. And the demon just gets consumed by this big.
and then they're like, you did it, and that guy dies.
It's like, he's a hero. He's a hero. The town hero. He saved us.
Okay. You're definitely in the realm of funny. So like, do it. How scary? Do you want to make it really scary too?
I do want to make it scarier than that.
Okay.
But so backing up a little bit, my wife and I watched the new Ghostbusters movie, Frozen Empire, I think.
Yeah.
And it's bad, dude. It's bad. And then same with the one before that, Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think. It's bad. It's the kind of fan service stuff that just feels cheap. And it's like we're going to linger on Dan Aykroyd for 5 seconds here. Or, you know, I don't know. It's like push the characters into a new place. Push the same characters, the old characters. I'm just talking about Ghostbusters right now. Into something new and interesting. Yeah. Instead of bringing on all these kids and stuff. And that's the thing, like nobody ever really feels like they're in danger. They're always making jokes the whole time. That kind of thing. So I do want it to have humor to it, but I think by killing Trish early on, it does show like, and depending on how we depict it as well, it can be really bad. So I don't know. But what is our concept? Like, what is the monster? What's going to sell this movie in the movie theater or in the trailer? I think that's probably what will help us unlock our thing here. It's either that or we have to have like a really hardcore, like personal vision for it.
That's true. I like the idea of like a smoke monster, but it's a little not tangible, you know? Like it's
agreed.
Whereas something like the Stranger Things monster is very tangible and very which makes it scary because it's kind of has physics to it and how it works.
It's just literally a monster, just physical monster. And that's where the demon, it's like, you know, we can get around like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things is a demon, you know, in many ways. But is that where we're going? You know, I think let's take our trio and put them into different places. It's like, you know, what is the location? They're in a small town, kind of picturesque postcard town. And you fly over it, you see like the church and the leaves have changed. You hear the school bell and you cut to the front of the school. It's like, oh, we're on Thanksgiving break. Well, I guess that would be after Halloween. I don't know.
I feel like there can be like a festival happening on like that week. Maybe it's a week-long festival. Maybe like I do feel like this story needs to take place in a single night. Maybe I guess it could like if you
mystery elements.
It becomes more like a Wednesday Addams situation where it's like, oh, this one suspenseful mystery thing is happening over the course of like a week or a month or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think a pumpkin carving thing, a festival. You know, maybe somebody's dad is like, you always see the ice sculpture dudes. You see the chainsaw, you know, log sculpture guys, the crafts women, all that kind of stuff.
It's kind of just like a fall festival. And like has Halloween mixed into it. Like some kids dress up to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So are you thinking more the one night or like a few nights like this happens?
I think a few nights. Because if Trish goes missing or dies or whatever, the thing that pulls them through the story, trying to figure out what's happening or where she went, would be her disappearance over a couple of days. It wouldn't be like an immediate thing.
Yeah. Because I think that what helps is if she's a bad influence, then like the first night she disappears, they maybe go to the local police. Yeah. They're like, oh, Trish Makowski, whatever her name is like, she's always like running away from home.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
They're like, we'll do our like, I don't want them to just not do their job. They're like, we'll do it. But until she's gone for 48 hours, we can't really do anything. Yeah. She probably just is like mad at her parents again. And she like, so it's easy to write off that she's gone.
Yeah.
Cause I do want to just like, if things go too crazy, then like people would just cancel the festival. Because if it's like 3 people were found dead, they're like, we're going to still have this festival.
Yeah. That's true.
The pride of this town.
3 people being dead in a town, and I'm not even thinking a small town, but 10,000 people. That's not like.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying like the night 1, Trish disappears. Night 2, like I think people disappearing is like clearly like they're not dying.
I think setting it somewhere as well, Pennsylvania or something, like somewhere that could have that northern beauty to it. That as well, I kind of like, I'm going to just play with me here, that there'd be like a big abandoned steel mill up there. Because that's cool. Part of the Rust Belt. And we can play with this idea that like the monster a metal monster is really cool. And I don't know how we had to build the lore around it, obviously, but just like it's just nothing but giant like rusted metal and like shards and stuff, and it's like moving around. That's obviously a very big, crazy end piece part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think about that?
I like a big metal monster. Like somehow when it gets summoned in the steel mill and just combines with things.
Yeah.
Is it big metal monster from the start? Like what, I guess the motivation for the monster, and I want to follow up with some of these people's motivation and their needs. Motivation for the monster, is it just like picking off like one person at a time, or is something happening that before like the big monster attacks the town? Because what's keeping the big monster from just like going hog wild? That's a good point.
I think what's really interesting about a bigger monster is it needing, if it's a demon anyway, it needing a body. And so, and I'm not trying to go full Iron Man here, of like, build me a body.
Yeah,
Jarvis.
He like looks in the cavern, he's like, oh my gosh. And it just pans out and it's a giant Iron Man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's like, okay, that's not scary.
Rufus is like, we're going to get so sued in this movie.
Yeah, we are so done. We're so cooked.
We're so cooked.
We're so cooked right now, dude. Well, the thing as well is that the demon is like a trap in terms of ideas, because you can go lots of different ways with it. Whereas like a classic like Howling Hill, forcing me with werewolves. Werewolf motivations are pretty obvious. They want to eat. They want to stay secret. Same with vampires. And the rest of them, the mummies.
Yeah. What if we did a situation where there's like I kind of like coming back to the, what's it called? Like the smoke thing, the cloud thing, something gets released or some antique breaks and this like kind of like this small thing of cloud comes out. And I like the idea that it's trying to form its big body. And the people who are disappearing are being possessed by it. So it's like slowly enticing like individuals, and like people are going missing. Yeah. And then like they like Sean and Rufus come across like there's like this banging in like this house. They're like, what's that? And it's like some like partially possessed person who's like bestial trying to get out of the house or something. And then they maybe follow it, or they have to fight it and follow it, and they realize.
I see like an old lady they know just like running through the woods.
Yeah, that like who's like normally in a walker, and she's like full running through the woods, like super
on all
powered.
fours. Yeah,
yeah. Because that kind of then they're not necessarily dying right away, but then like it's building us a clock. It's building us a reason something's slowly happening before something bigger happens.
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid the gravitational pull of Stranger Things, because I feel like that is every season of Stranger Things. Like, there's some sort of mystery. Oh, we have Christmas lights that, help us. And, we're doing this other
That's true. And people like literally get possessed in Stranger Things, like in season 3 and stuff.
Yes, exactly. So,
okay.
And I don't mind that. I don't mind that as long as we can have our own big kind of take on it.
Then let's do the metal monster, but it starts real small. Like it's like, maybe I'm just trying to figure out, I'm like, what keeps this thing from just destroying the town? Maybe it's small, like it's like the size of a toaster, and it like it's like a little,
like Chucky. We're like in Chucky territory.
A critter, and then like it's attacking the people. It attacks Trish, and I don't know if attacking. Maybe that like I think it's like somewhat, but like has biology to it, and then it's like covered in metal too, like the bad guy from Power Rangers season 1. What was his name?
Which
Zed?
One? Oh, yeah.
Like where he's like, he looks like flesh, but he's like ringed with metal as well.
Yeah. That's cool. Zed is cool.
But it could be like that.
Zordon? Something? No, I don't know.
Zordon is like the good big head.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I was messing with a Power Rangers head over here.
Let me get my dictionary out. But I think something like that, and because maybe if it's flesh with metal, that's kind of cool. We can give a reason, like it got summoned or got released in the metal yard. Yeah. And maybe that's where it hides, but then it comes, and when it feeds on people, it's slowly growing. It's getting bigger throughout.
I think all of this is cool. I think it needs to be grounded with lore. And so this being like a Rust Belt town that's dead or dying, that's kind of spooky, obviously. Town itself is dead or dying. Lots of businesses are closed or whatever. That would explain a little bit of the trash element with Trish as well. Just kind of like people giving up.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Rufus wants to get out. And it's like their single mom is still there, whatever. They have roots there.
Yeah.
But it's like the spirit of the town
Mm-hmm.
is coming back.
Yeah.
And in a bad way.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's killing the townspeople. Or maybe somebody like an older townsperson like goes and finds this machine and then pours something into it or whatever. That's what brings it to life. I don't know. Or maybe actually, here we go. Fall Festival. I think I got it. Fall Festival, you know, they do all sorts of art. I said the chainsaw guy.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is this is actually a lot like Creepshow 2. Have you ever seen Creepshow 2?
I don't think so.
They're an anthology film, Creepshow and Creepshow 2, where they have short stories. And one of them is a cigar store Indian. And there's just like this shop owner and they like an old man and old woman, they get killed by these punks. You know, they come and rob their store or whatever. And the cigar store Indian, who's outside the store, just a big wooden Indian, comes to life and he just kills all these punks.
Oh, that's cool.
But there's a guy that makes metal sculptures out of the town, like out of the old steel mill and stuff. Like he's going and he'll sell the sculptures during the fall festival. And one of these sculptures comes to life.
I think that's cool. Yeah, I'm trying to tie it to like something like the owners of the steel mill. Like it's not in use that much anymore. Like has different tourist industry. Or something.
we rent it out to film. Like we could literally, that would be funny actually. They rent it out to a film crew that's there. And maybe Rufus and Sean are like hanging out on near the edge of the film set.
Mm-hmm. That could be cool. I feel like something, I don't know if there needs to be an inciting incident that like, because I was thinking the steel mill, like the owners died there, like they kind of like went bankrupt and maybe the husband killed the wife or something, like some bad stuff happened there. No one's really gone back.
Yeah, maybe the owner killed himself knowing that the business was going under. There were lots of accidents there and eventually just got shut down.
Yeah.
You know, the business went elsewhere too. Maybe that's also like the town tried to keep it alive, but the interests, the money stopped flowing there because it went, you know, to some other country or whatever. Like whatever killed the Rust Belt. So all these industrial jobs and all these people kind of end up listless, unable to afford living. Anyway.
Yeah. I think that could work. And then like something happens or they dig up maybe it's the guy who makes the sculptures and like he's there digging for stuff and he's trying to find something and he kind of unearths something and then it kills him. And then it lets loose on this town. Kind of makes it, which is fine. Like I kind of was wanting Sean and Rufus to be the reason the thing gets loose because it kind of feels like a complete circle that they have to stop it at the end.
That's fair. Yeah.
That feels like hocus pocusy. Like they're the reason the witches come back, so they have to stop the witches. Which I think we could work out. But then, yeah, we got the still. Let's just try to recap a little bit from the beginning. So we have our protagonists are Sean, Rufus, and Trish. Little bit.
Yeah, she's more of a supporting character at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sean's trying to be cool. He's kind of too cool for his little brother, too cool for this town, and like he thinks Trish is all that because she's like a punk, and it's like she doesn't like the town, and he's basically just emulating himself after her and like hang out with her. Rufus is his little brother. He's more Boy Scout-ish, and maybe has a better head on his shoulders. Like this girl is bad for you, man. Like we used to, and it's mostly rooted out of jealousy. Like we used to have something. It's like we used to dress up together for Halloween. Yeah. It's like I'm too old for that. Which would be funny if there was a callback where they had to hide, and he's like, "You have to dress up."
Yeah, that would be
okay. And then Trish is like, maybe they're kicking around the steel mill. Like they're just like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the steel mill," and then he's gonna go too. And they're like, "Oh, bring your little brother with you." And then he's like, "We shouldn't be here." They're like doing stuff. They're like breaking into old areas and stuff like that. I thought there would be
manager's office kind of thing.
Yeah, if there was like some sort of like urn or something. Like I don't know if it needs to be that physical of like what they unleash, or if it's more just their presence like somehow gets this thing going.
Yeah, maybe. I think something that's popping in my head is that if the owner of the steel mill killed himself, like he maybe shot himself, and there's like a girder where they say the bullet is at.
A what? Where the bullet is?
So
at?
the bullet goes through his head and it like embeds itself into a girder. And so that's where like all the punks hang out. It's like, oh yeah, you see this right here? Somebody cutting themselves and then some blood going into it. That could be whatever, enlivens whatever is there. I think the best to get it animated and to have something that has legs and can actually walk around. That's why the sculpture guy is such a big deal. So I think if we open up on this guy, like shots of this guy just cutting out pieces of metal, like exploring these old mills, and it's just a cool musical, quiet, spooky, obviously music of him assembling it, and then we get to the fair, the festival, and we see him assembling the thing, and maybe he has pulled the girder with the bullet in it.
Okay.
And so that's like the core of the monster.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
And so, cool. And we see that, and we can even do like a montage in the beginning of like newspaper clippings of like town closing, town factory. I think that we're dumping some exposition into the credits.
Yeah.
But I think that's fine. And then we have, we kind of transition from we see him building it, like the sparks and stuff of him building it live, and people are cheering for him and stuff. And we see in the crowd, Rufus and Sean. And we then pass perspective to him or to them.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So like we montage, he takes the bullet thing and he takes it home and he's like building this statue.
Yeah. Or he's building it in real time, like at the fair.
Okay. I think that's cool.
That's what guys do. And then they sell the big sculpture at the end. So he's building the spirit of the town essentially. And that could be like the name, or we can find a better name for the statue, because that'll probably be the name of the movie. But that's effectively what's happening there.
I like that. I like that he's building it, and it's like the first night of the festival, and the stuff's happening. And I still think we could have Trish take them to the steelworks, because I feel like there's something that we need to tie back into that eventually.
I think that guy could be Trish's dad.
Oh, that could be interesting.
I think that, again, trying to make the relationships closer, it's helpful. And that could give you reason to go back, like, oh, she's there. Like she's helping him, or maybe not helping him, I imagine this guy's more of he does the fair circuit kind of thing. He's probably from that town, whatever it's called. For some reason, Monessen, Pennsylvania is popping in my mind. And I think that's where Johnny's from, our friend.
Oh, but
it's like old steel mills. They shot RoboCop there. Gotcha. And the steel mills were closed when they shot RoboCop in the 80s.
Yeah. I think it's cool that the guy builds a statue, and it's like first night everyone's having fun of the fair, and it's like once everyone goes to bed, maybe there's like a straggler of a person, or maybe we have like some two drunk dudes come out of the bar.
Yeah,
and
drunk
then
on apple cider.
I've drank so much spiked apple cider. And then the monster like comes to life, it animates and it kills them.
Oh, I love it. Just like being totally, I know people could say something about it where it's like, what are you making? Like he always makes the ugliest things. And he's like, I call this one the spirit of the town, or whatever the town's name is. Yeah. And it's just like, is that what you think of us? But it has like arms and legs. It's humanoid. And it just like, it like just barely moves.
And maybe it doesn't kill anyone the first time. Maybe it just disappears, because I think there needs to be some excuse of like that guy's like super upset, and because someone stole the statue. Like they come back the next day and someone took the statue that he just built. Yeah. And I think that's interesting. And then I like this. We've got kind of this demon of a statue that's like, it's like the Tin Man, but scary and like.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And that's spooky. That has like really cool spooky vibes. It would be cool if people actually did steal it. Like the Trish's punks and stuff.
Okay. Let's do that, because I was like, I wanted the thing to immediately kill the drunk guys. Yeah. But then it's like, you've got dead bodies, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to there'd be blood and there'd be a scene. If people steal it, they're like, oh, it'd be so funny if we stole it, like the goons, like Trish's friends, but maybe she's not there, and then take them to their little hideout,
like under a bridge somewhere, and it's just like leaned up against something.
Yeah, and then it kills the friends there or something, and then Trish is like comes to Sean, and she's like, something bad happened. Like there was like, maybe the bodies aren't there, but there was clearly like there's blood on the walls and stuff like that. I think that's interesting. And then it kind of introduces the stakes of the thing without the entire town noticing. Because the thing I'm trying to keep happening is the festival needs to keep going on. Because if people realize people are sincerely dead, then...
Yeah, no, people just don't show up to the festival. They're not dead, you know?
Yeah.
But they are. We've killed them off.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if it was publicly known that people are dying, I think they would cancel the festival.
Agreed, yeah.
So it needs to be hush, hush. Or maybe the guys are just disappeared. Maybe it's not super clear. Maybe she doesn't want to call the police because he's like, these guys aren't... I can't call the... They're not supposed to be here and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then that introduces... That kind of scares her... Almost like scares her straight a little bit. Like where it's like, oh, this is like serious. Because I like... At this point, I think she is becoming more a central character. I think she's like far in the like tough stuff category. Like, I'm too cool for this.
Oh yeah, she's not going to show
like
that
she's going to get more grounded. Like she comes back to like a normal thing. Sean has to be like a good older brother to Rufus, and Rufus needs to maybe come to terms that Sean is growing up. Like I think that's like the core meat of all this stuff.
Agreed.
Like that's what they're doing.
It's coming to terms with change, I think, is the theme, not only for the town, but for the kids as well. And so maybe even
great for a fall movie.
Totally.
Classic.
Yeah, exactly. The turning of the years and the turning of the seasons. You have to, this town is well past its prime. But how do you bring new life to it? I think that would be kind of cool. Having an older character as well would be nice, like somebody who remembers the town for what it was, whether that's Trish's dad, the sculptor guy, and he's like, yeah, I worked a few shifts at this plant.
I think the artifact appraiser can come back in at this point because we've got the sculptor guy who makes the statue, but I think they would almost need someone to like put the legend in their heads, you know? Like they talk to someone, they're like, oh yeah, that's steel mill. Like I went and got like are we saying that this was Trish's dad was there?
Yeah, he could be the guy.
Yeah.
And although he might be dumb enough, like he's using cursed steel essentially.
Well, that's like where I'm wondering if it should just be a separate person and it could be funny. Like,
I think the character that pops in my head is like a short, like overweight lady who's in her 50s and kind of like the Poltergeist lady, if you've ever seen Poltergeist, but she's like has her own art gallery in town.
Okay.
And so she comes up and she's like, what did you come up with this year, Trent? Trish's dad. And he's just like, oh, I don't know. I call it the blah, 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 the steel man.
Okay. I think I got confused. So her dad is not the guy who killed himself in the steel mill.
No. He's the guy he's the artist.
Yeah. He's the artist. Okay. I got you. He's the artist getting some big Iron Giant guy vibes, who made all the
that's actually perfect. Yes, that's perfect. Guy. He's just a little crustier, a little older, workier, maybe, kooky is maybe a good way.
I like that because that gives Trish a good reason. Like maybe it's not like even he's like a bad dad. It's just like,
he's just weird.
He's just caught up in his work and
he's definitely, I didn't take the typical route in life and my child is paying for that.
Yeah.
He's like, I saw my art on, online and whatever. And that's why it has like a small town feel too, where this art appraising lady comes up. She's got her gallery and maybe he's never had a piece in the gallery. And I'm just trying to find some way where she'd be like, oh, she would be both knowledgeable about the town as well as art styles. And then could be a source of like humor a little bit. But also could die at some point, which would be great. Yeah.
I kind of want to name the father Benjamin. Just
That's
like
fine.
He's Benjamin or Ben. And then, okay, I like this. Like, so then, he introduced this thing. She's like, you're using cursed steel. Okay, that's interesting. I can sell that. People will come in and see.
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to use the cursed steel. This was the actual bullet hole that, whatever.
And maybe it literally has like a bullet hole in it.
Yeah. It would be cool if that's the eye. That's the eye of the thing. Like the thing doesn't have a face. It's just like it's distorted and then has this one like thing.
That's cool.
That like looks around with.
45 caliber bullet put a hole in that thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I know we're running a little low on time,
We're still good. We got a few minutes here.
We got a few minutes. I think we had to work out this beginning because I think this makes sense.
Hopefully you folks can imagine where this is going. It is a classic kind of horror setup / spooky setup, mystery that then eventually it's going to break out second act with they know the monster exists, they're chasing the monster, or the monster's chasing them, vice versa. We already kind of covered a little bit of what the thematic journey would be around the two boys, but I do think Trish and her dad are now kind of emerging as a secondary.
Yeah, I feel like all four of these guys make it out alive, in my opinion. But like maybe the art appraiser doesn't, or the gallery owner doesn't. Maybe the goons don't.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of people on the outskirts that aren't.
And I also think Trish's dad is probably got to get his hand chopped off or arm.
I think that can happen. Yeah. Because that's kind of symbolic.
I created you. I created you. Stop. Just shing.
Cuts his arm off. No, I think, or even less goofy, he protects her.
Yeah, I agree. I was obviously being funny, but like
I know, but I do like the funny, and then
because he's got to pay for making it. Even though there's this, it's cursed steel. He didn't make that steel cursed. He gave it a body essentially. Yeah, which is kind of coming full circle on what we were saying before about demons and like needing some sort of embodiment.
Yeah,
and so the demon of the town.
I think it's also.
Go ahead.
It's also symbolic because while I say he's not a bad dad, maybe the biggest fault is he's put so much work into his art and not really been there for Trish. And I think that's almost a symbolic, like his crafting tool of his hand gets destroyed.
Agreed.
To protect her.
And their story could end full where she goes from being like kind of a tramp to coming home, and she's helping him now create art.
Yeah,
obviously because he doesn't have hands hand.
That's cool.
And so like she's kind of gone into the family business. That's a restoration of the kind of core structure of society there. And then the boys are now back in fellowship as well.
I like that. I feel like we've got our like needs and major beats out. I feel like the main thing we're missing, clearly, like there's going to be like it's roaming about the town. They're finding out more about it. It's coming and getting people, and they're stopping it and they're fighting it.
Yeah.
All on this fall festival Halloween night. It would be kind of neat if it is specifically after certain people and people are dressing up on the last day of this night and people just think it's like a really good costume. Like they don't know that.
Oh,
it's
you
like
think, okay.
monster.
Yeah. I was thinking it would be big and weird looking. So it's pretty obvious that it's not human. Like it's literally super thin in certain places, and it's just like, and again, it's humanoid. I would also want it to move at least a little bit faster though. So that's fair. Because otherwise it's going to be like just weird. But there's that kind of, by taking the proportions of the human body, it becomes disturbing and like extending them beyond what they should be. I think that's a classic kind of horror thing. That is the uncanny valley, so to speak.
Yep.
But it just has like a big girder for a head, or like sheet metal thing with the bullet in it.
I like it. The big thing is like, how do they stop it? I feel like that's something we'll build towards. Do they take it back to the steel mill? Does it like fall off of something at the steel mill? Is it? I don't know. I want to throw it's metal, so I want to throw it in lava, but I don't think there's lava.
Oh, that's true. Like turning the plant back on.
Yeah, but would they be able to do it if it's been out of commission for that long?
It depends. I think if we roped our film crew back in, like
they're like, we got to get this thing going. We're gonna film the lava for real.
Where it's like, and then they were able to do it, but it's just for that thing, it's just, it's a good excuse. We could kill the film crew too because they're like trespassing. Catch some on film. That could be kind of cool.
I think that gives enough. I don't think it's clearly like they're there filming, and there's like some small talk at the beginning of they're like, oh yeah, for the big that I don't. We'd have to clean up this line because it couldn't be too foreshadow. For the big finale, we're gonna have the big pit on the big metal melt.
That's actually funny, yeah.
because it's like super foreshadowy, like at that point, because he's talking about their movie, but it's also speaking to the movie we're watching.
Yes,
I think big that's finale fine. Is gonna. Yeah, I think that's fun.
Like this needs to work. We need to get this working. In however much time or whatever. You could disguise it. The best way to disguise a line is to give it multiple. He literally says
he's like, how are we going to kill our monster if we don't get this thing running? Like we need this thing working. And maybe that's what brings it to mind. They're like the film crew. They're getting the thing up and running tonight. It's funny. It's kind of on the nose, but I also really like it. I think.
Yeah, I think as long as it complicates their journey at that moment when he's saying it, could be the excuse, because like you hide it, you bury it by saying like, oh, the kids got in trouble, and so they learned this information when they got in trouble, and the cops have them, and the film director's there, and he's like, we need this running for blah blah blah, and you almost jeopardize that. It's like, whatever. We're bringing industry back to this town. I think that's cool. The film director's like, we're bringing industry back to this town, and it's like actually they're just parasites. Like they're just using it for set deck, basically. Yeah,
I think it's like we're gonna have this thing. What is that thing called? You know what I'm talking about? The big thing of like metal.
Yeah, it's there's like smelting and
the big smelting pot.
A smelter. Yeah, I mean literally might be what it is. But we're talking about the big cauldron full of
It's like this metal. Cauldron. In a few days, this cauldron's gonna be hot. You guys can't be trespassing here. Like they call the cops. They're like, it's gonna be dangerous here. You can't be here. Like that's buried enough that they know that this thing's gonna get turned back on.
It's called a ladle.
A ladle.
Yeah.
The big pot is called a ladle?
Yeah, the bucket-shaped container used to transport and pour molten metal in a steel mill is called a ladle.
A ladle.
Yeah, they weigh 300 tons.
So I think...
That's cool.
I think it is cool. So I think, that's where we're leading back. The stuff's happening. They're like, we have to lead the monster back to the steel mill. Which could be cool. It could be cool if like by the end it's like maybe throughout the movie it starts stiff and it gets looser and looser like as the movie progresses.
Yeah.
And then like by the end they're like, get in the car, go, go, go. They're driving to the steel mill and like the thing is like running on all like it's all
that's
fours,
cool.
Like
even running on its head. It's just like
it doesn't have like a good distinct form, but it's like bobbing and stuff and it like jumps on the back of the car and it's like ripping the back windows out.
It's like Terminator 2. The big metal arms.
But like still like but very bestial in form.
And I imagine it could even make a noise, which would be cool, like grinding metal,
like the Transformers noise.
No, just like
turns into a little washing machine.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like this monster a lot. And I like the kind of small commentary on the use of like old dead America that's being used. By the film crew being there, and then the way it lands, I think that's great. We have enough people die. I think the film crew dies, or at least the director, maybe a couple of other people, the sound guy, just picking on sound guys for whatever reason. But yeah, I have a title.
I have a tentative title too.
Cool.
But I want to hear yours.
Okay. So for those who don't know, we end every episode by titling the film and doing it along the lines. So we do a line that could live within this universe, usually something thematic or something that really tickled us, either way, something fun or impactful. So the title that I have, and somebody would have to say this along the way, and I think it would probably be Benjamin, the artist.
Yeah.
That what he makes his sculptures out of is slag.
What is that?
So it's like leftover ore that's usually used in like road construction and stuff.
Okay.
That it's just a steel mill term. And I just think that's a cool, like that's the bad guy. Its name is Slag.
Slag.
Yeah.
That's I like Slag a lot. That's a really unique name. The tentative title I had, because I really like that, and I'm pretty happy if we go either way.
Yeah. Tell me.
Is just the Tin Man, because I think it kind of like there can be some passing line. They're like, oh, I call him the Tin Man because the old steel mill owner didn't have a heart, or something
cool.
like that.
Yeah,
and it's also just something about. It's like the movie's about change, and the Tin Man in Wizard of Oz is like he rusts, like he kind of stays the same indefinitely. So it's kind of got some themes in that too. Plus, like taking a very like happy character and calling it like naming this very scary character like the Tin Man.
Oh yeah, that feels like a good marketing thing too. I could easily see Benjamin being asked by the art gallery lady, like, what is this one called? And he's like, oh, the Tin Man. And she's like, that's made out of steel.
Yeah.
And he's like,
it's actually slag.
Yeah. Yeah. Denise, I like the Wizard of Oz. And he doesn't like look at her or whatever. He's just like, I like the Wizard of Oz, whatever. I think that's cool. Or maybe he's got like a Wizard of Oz tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's something where it's like just slight whatever. It's kind of this kooky thing that this guy likes. I think that could easily be sold as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's, I don't know. It just, the Tin Man has enough going. Like, it's like, it doesn't change, and it also doesn't have a heart, and it doesn't, like, there's enough like things tying back. But I'm also good with Slag. Do you have a preference between the two?
I maybe prefer Slag. It's a little less, I don't know.
On like stealing from someone else's IP.
Yeah. It's more ownable.
I think it could still exist as a line in the movie potentially.
Totally.
Like, Slag, or do you think just Slag?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I'm just trying to think if there's something
there's probably
we could
more
add
there.
to.
But there's this idea of it being like leftover stuff from production.
Yeah.
That I like, that is thematically related. Like, this town is the slag of the whole operation. I think that's kind of cool. And it gets reused for something else, repurposed. So yeah, Slag.
SLAG?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know if like the Slag Man is also, that's kind of combining it, but like cool, that's also kind of cool too. Like, I'm just trying to think of like if that would help people, like when movies have a title that like, oh, that's the name of the monster. Totally. The Slag Man, or Long Legs is like, oh, that's the name of the serial killer. Yeah. But if you're good with Slag, we can leave it at Slag.
I'm good with it. Yeah. I feel like I don't like to spoon feed people too much.
Okay.
So enough. The trailer, we'll leave that to the trailer guys.
We'll leave that to the trailer guys. Sweet. So we've got Slag, and I think we just need a line for this thing.
Oh, well, Trish is trash. That's always a good one.
Trish is trash, man. Trish is trash.
Which is actually thematically related, because it's like she is like the refuse, that whole thing, like something to be discarded.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's funny in multiple ways, but
it's kind of funny because she's something to be discarded by kind of the town in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cool themes, because then the dad is also like using discarded stuff to like build it into something better, but he's not doing that with his daughter.
Yes.
Like, and then she's also like, the monster and her are kind of parallels because they're both discarded. And like you say, there's always, it's nice and satisfying to be like, oh, the villain is the thing if you just let loose. Like, totally. It is kind of Trish, the worst version of her.
Yes.
In a sense. And then she kind of comes around and makes different choices.
Yeah. So that's where I think we actually shifted protagonists a little bit. Like,
we just have an entourage, because I do feel like there's like two duos, because I think the dad sacrifices his hand to save Trish. Mm-hmm. And I think Rufus has to, like, Rufus doesn't think his brother cares about him, but then Sean has to like go and rescue his brother and like risk his life. He doesn't die, but he saves his brother.
That's fair. Yeah. And again, it's all thematically underneath the same thing. They're all reacting to the same theme, which is how do people react to change?
Yes. Yes.
And the turning of the years, season of Slag.
The season of Slag.
So I think we go back to that initial moment where it's being constructed or displayed for the first time. And the monster Slag is being displayed at the festival. And there's a passing interaction with the mayor, or some other like town representative. And we cut a contrast between Benjamin, the art maker, and artist, I guess would be the term. We cut a contrast between him and maybe the film crew that's being given deferential treatment. We see them either taking the mayor out or something, like they're buying the mayor off kind of thing, and that's someone else who can get killed. But there's I think a small interaction where they clearly don't like each other. And the mayor stops by the booth and is watching Benjamin construct the monster, basically. And the mayor says, you're an artist, Benjamin. Why don't you join us? It'd be good for you to join us for lunch one time. The film industry is coming to our town. And he says, those aren't artists, Janet. Those are parasites. Difference between me and them is I actually care about the spirit of this town. I give new life. They just take it.
Thank you all for listening to StoryFellas, a part of the Pemmican Studios podcast network. Check out our show notes for bonus material, links, and more. To find out more about our current projects, send us messages, and suggest ideas for the show, go to storyfellaspodcast.com. If you liked what you heard, share the show with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this community. Until next time, go make and break those stories.